All right. So, this is the story of how I got hired on the cruise ships doing stand up comedy on cruises. A lot of people always ask me, how'd you land this job? It's like the dream job. Ironically, when I was a kid, I actually wanted to be a bartender on a cruise ship. I thought that would have been so cool. Or like in Vegas or something. But with comedy, I never had comedy on a cruise ship in my mind. I didn't even realize comedians did comedy on cruises. So I was in New York, and a few of my friends booked it, and I thought it was just like one cruise ship. I didn't realize it's a whole thing. There's tons of cruises. So I'm asking them, "Hey, get me on with the cruises. Can you get me on?" And I'm not hearing nothing. Like everything in life, I always put it off. I'll say, "Oh, I can't get hired on cruises. They're not hiring me." And then I just went for it. I was like, all right, it was the pandemic. I seen so many of my friends on them. I was like, man, I'm getting on a cruise. So I started emailing people to get myself on a cruise. I'm leaving voicemails and didn't hear anything back. I let it go. And one morning I get this email on my phone. I wake up and I'm like, oh, it looked like some scam stuff. I let it go. And then I never answer private numbers. I had numbers calling me from Florida, and I see the same scam company. It says urgent Dominic Leonelli comedian needed. And I look and I'm like, man, it's been the cruise ship agent's been trying to get a hold of me. So I call him back, and the guy's like, oh man, you're a hard guy to get a hold of. We passed you. Because here goes the other thing. They did talking to me once. And they told me, oh, yeah, no, we like your stuff. Just send a 5-minute tape and we could probably get you on some cruises. And I still didn't believe in myself enough to do it. I just let it go. I was like, I got to go get a tape. This guy found a YouTube video of me from like 10 years ago when I first moved to New York. He goes, this is perfect to get you on the cruises. And boom, I was on. I get on the cruises. He says, I'm in, I'm signed, they're sending over the contract, I'm getting the passport. From a video from me 10 years ago. I didn't need to do all this struggling, stealing change from the Wish fountain, trying to go to delis. What time do you throw your food away? Or Dunkin' Donuts when they're closing to try to get donuts. I didn't have to do none of that. Living off dollar slices. 10 years ago, I was obviously had the tape provable to get me booked on a cruise ship. So you gotta believe in yourself and take those steps. And, I'm waiting. He's like, we'll get you a cruise. We'll get you one. I'm not hearing nothing back. And I'm like calling the dude, honestly, once a week. I'm working different moving companies and I'm not making much money. I'm not even making my rent. And I'm calling the dude all the time. I'm like, hey, anything? He's like, I'll let you know. It's a process. Then there was something on my background that wasn't even bad. Just like some basic stuff, lying to cops or whatever. And they didn't want to let me on the cruise ship for that. But then I get a call. And the thing is, I was in a bad way. I was getting rid of my apartment the next month. I had no money. And I was just going to try to rent a U-Haul for like a month. They charge you at the end of the month. They charge you a little deposit. Then they'll charge you for the full thing when you turn it in. So my idea was rent a U-Haul and live in it and do moving jobs during the day. And I had like a week to be out of my apartment. Or two weeks or something. No money. I'm like, all right, hey, I've been down before. I'm going to rent a U-Haul, live in it, and do these moving jobs. And I called a guy I know up to have lots of, he has lots of moves. And he lined me up with a whole day of them. I was begging him too. I was like, look, dude, I won't screw you over. I know I messed up in the past, but I know how serious this is. I'm renting the van. I already got it reserved. You can count on me Saturday, 8 in the morning. I'm going to be at the location. I'll do all the moves. This dude gave me 5 moves over the weekend, and I think 3 were on that Saturday and 2 on a Sunday. He's like, don't screw me over again. I'm counting on you, important clients. And he goes, I need you. I don't got no other backup. I was like, dude, I got you. You got my word. And my word is thick. Like I give you my word. Even if it affects me, I got it. I stick to my word. That's all you got in this world. And the cruise ship agent called me that night. Like they were like, hey, can you be on a flight to Mexico at 11 a.m.? and or something 12. I forgot the flight time. It was right around noon. I was like, yeah, I could do that. So I had to call the guy and cancel all the moves. I was like, hey man, sorry I can't do the moves. He was screaming at me. I just hung up the phone and I went to a discount store. I want to say either Burlington or TJ Maxx. On my way to the cruise ship place, there was a place in my neighborhood. I got there as soon as they opened. I just had enough time to grab like stuff out for Mexico, like for a cruise ship. So I'm buying all these clothes. I had nothing nice. So I ended up spending the money I was going to put down on the U-Haul van. I spent that on clothes, like something like $200, I think. Maybe I got, because you had to have nice shoes, dress shirt, all this stuff. And everything I bought was all pineapple stuff. It was cheap, you know. It was like in June and they already had put their summer clothes out. You know how they do it ahead of time. So it was like the clearance stuff. And it was like beginning of June. I buy all this stuff, pineapples. And I get on this trip. They fly me to Alabama. I'm in Mobile, Alabama. And I never even really flew before. It's like my second time flying in my life. So I'm like, man, this is crazy. These people are taking this risk on me to go do a cruise ship. And I'm in Mobile. And first off, the police were coming to Mobile to the hotel. People were complaining. Huge thing. And then, like, I'm downstairs and all these people are complaining. And I take the hotel side. Because really, it's like, come on, dude. We're at like a Motel 8. Like, what do you expect? Anyways, in the morning, they go, yeah, we'll come pick you up to take you to the ship. I'm with all the people that were complaining on the cruise ship. I'm sitting with them. They already don't like me. They're like, oh, you're the comedian. Isn't it review based? And this was a few years ago. This was probably about 3 years ago. It was right after the pandemic, pretty much. And 2.5, maybe, I don't know. But I say that to say this. I did my first gig. As soon as I get on the ship, they line me up. You got a gig. I couldn't even watch the other guy to get an idea what it's like. I just, boom, I'm there. And this girl goes, you suck, from the front row. She was heckling me because after the show, I asked her. At first, I'm thinking, like, I'm about to lose this cruise ship job already. First 5 minutes on stage. She's screaming. She goes, oh, I see on the internet. That's what you do. You heckle the comedians. I see the videos all the time. You know what's crazy? I was on with another comedian, get this, from my hometown, same town, and he got passed to do the ships the year I was born. I had this big extravagant lifestyle for the ships. I thought I was like the huge star, but really doing comedy on cruise ships, you're kind of just another worker, to be honest with you. You're nothing special. You're not like some big star. You're just, hey, you're the guy in cabin 1307, okay? And when we tell you to do something, you got to do it. It's basically like that. You're eating the type of food. And it's right after the pandemic. Nobody knew the rules. They hired all these new people. Nobody knew where to tell me to eat. It was crazy. First day on the cruise, it's like everywhere I sat to eat was a problem. They're like, you can't sit here. You got to be the Starburst side employee in the north of the Starburst. And I'm moving over here. Somebody else is like, no, you got to eat in your cabin, you know. One dude's like, you gotta chew with your mouth closed, and they're giving you all these rules. You're in your cabin, people are knocking on the door, no food in the cabin. You gotta eat upstairs on deck 11, and I was just like, man, this is crazy, dude. And nobody knew. I was on a bucket in the corner, I'd hide to eat. I was just in the corner under the sink a little, and I was eating, because I got tired of people stopping me. And then the other comedian from my hometown, he goes, no, you eat here, you're a comedian, you know, you eat in this area, or, you know, he told me there's little sections you could go. But he told me, he's like, it's a hard life, man, it's a lot of traveling, this and that. And I did those shows, you know, there was a girl on the ship. I did like 3 or 4, I started getting better. Did 5 shows on the ship in total. And I think I did good in like 3.5 days. There was a girl, her picture was everywhere. She was like, her and her friend were huge troublemakers. They took ayahuasca in Mexico. I seen her one night. Her knees are bleeding. She's falling down. She was like way at the top of the thing. And I had to, you know, I was like, hey, come down. So I run up there. And I guess security thought I was just trying to talk to her. He's like, what are you doing up here? You're supposed to be working. You're a comedian. I know how you entertainers are. And I'm telling him, no, this girl's messed up bad. It was like a huge thing. We had meetings in the morning. And overall, I got thanked because they were like, hey, it was good that you looked out for that girl. You seen she was messed up. But, you know, that's the thing with these cruises. You're doing comedy and you're performing in front of a bunch of drunk people. Like, one girl told me, she's like, I'm making sure I'm doing a bad review on you. And she was talking to me about, it wasn't even my act. And she's telling me the jokes. I'm like, look, I don't get political. That wasn't me. You know, I don't got no material on the doors. She's like, I like your stuff you did on the doors. And I'm like the doors? And I didn't even realize she's a band. And this girl went, she's pointing me out, it's him. He's all political. I don't do one political joke. But saying that was ended up being a problem, I got a complaint. It wasn't even against me. And the guy was like, look, it's just a numbers game. Your other ones will balance out. You know, sometimes drunk people just complain. But they called me and they said, hey, we like what you did. We want you to do another ship. Can you go for 6 weeks? Me and my girl just broke up at the time. I went back to my apartment and threw everything outside and hopped on a ship for 6 weeks, man. And I was in like DR. I was in Grand Cayman. I was going all over. I legit lived on that ship for 6 weeks, my next contract. And I got the hang of it, man. Met some cool comics and really enjoyed it. Did some shows in the theater. And it is fun, and I'm grateful to have the opportunity to get to perform on comedy ships. So that's how I got the job. And, you know, that's that for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't know if this one was a funny one, but these are just stories. I'm just telling y'all stories. Very natural and real.